Let me offer you a picture of two stages. Stage one is Disneyland Paris. On the 24th of November 2025, Bruce Vaughan of Walt Disney Imagineering steps out with Natasha Rafalski, and they don't unveil a slogan or a flag. They bring out Olaf, a next-generation robotic character that looks as if he's wandered out of Arendelle, dusted the snow off his buttons and decided to make friends with you personally. This is not a ride figure on a track. This is a roaming, self-walking, talking snowman. Stage 2 is Moscow on the 11th of November 2025, and the organisers cue the Rocky theme. A humanoid called Adol totters on stage like a nervous wedding guest. It raises an arm, then gravity makes its own speech. The robot falls flat on its face, bits of casing rolling away as assistants hurry in with a black cloth as if shame itself were a stage prop. Now, if you want a simple moral, it is this. Disney built a snowman that can walk. Moscow built a headline that cannot. And let's take the larger route, because the larger, longer route tells you why one demo advances science and the other advances only meme culture and mockery. Disney starts where Disney always starts, with story. Olaf is alive, curious, and unmistakably himself. That is not marketing fluff, it's a design brief. The goal is not make a biped walk, the goal is make Olaf walk the way Olaf should walk. To do that, Imagineering worked directly from the original Frozen animators. The robot is meant to emulate authorial intention, not merely copy motion data. So, you get details that sound trivial until you realize the engineering load behind them. Olaf's shimmer is not paint, it's iridescent fibers that catch light like fresh snow. His snowballs are soft, not hard shells. His mouth and eyes fully articulate. His carrot nose and twig arms are removable, which means the mechanical interfaces are robust enough to survive repeated park performances without looking like a sad Christmas decoration. And crucially, he can roam and speak. A cast member will still perform him as a character in the same way a puppeteer performs a puppet, but the body itself is capable of stable, free gait and recovery in unpredictable terrain. This is assisted automotion in locomotion, not a robot replacing theatre. Olaf is harder than the BDX droids, and that is saying something. The BDXs have been roaming Star Wars lands for a while, trained in simulation to mimic stylized movement with self-balancing control and onboard perception. They are already among the hardest public safety bipedal character tasks in the world. But Olaf is an animated character whose movement is deliberately non-physical. He bends and wobbles in ways that do not look like standard biomechanics. If you tried to hand code that gait, you would either end up with a rigid toy or a snowman in traction. So Disney used deep reinforcement learning. Thousands of simulated Olafs practicing in silico, falling, recovering and refining their walk under randomized conditions, different friction, slopes, pushes, slight mass errors and so on. The policy is rewarded not merely for not failing and not falling, but for matching the animator's movement style. The result is physical plausibility constrained by artistic truth. That is why Olaf feels like a genuine leap. The RL system compresses years of embodied learning into days of accelerated simulation. It is the robotics equivalent of letting your toddler run around for a decade overnight, then waking up with a decent sense of balance and a pleasingly Olaf-like wobble. There's a wider ecosystem too. Disney Research, NVIDIA and Google DeepMind are building Newton, an open-source physics engine designed to improve robot training and sim-to-real transfer. Again, this is not a cute side project, it is infrastructure for the field. You do not open-source your simulator if you are bluffing about your method. You open-source it because you believe your method will scale. Olaf is not a tech demo without a home. He will soon appear in 2 Frozen lands in early 2026. Arundel Bay show in the World of Frozen in Disney Adventure Park, in Disney Adventure World Disneyland Paris, and a limited time appearance at the World of Frozen in Hong Kong Disneyland. This is important because it tells you Disney believes the technology is stable enough to confront real crowds. A theme park is not a lab, it is a merciless arena of sticky floors, prams, unpredictable children, sudden hugs, and 1,000 friction coefficients in the same afternoon. Rolling Olaf into that environment is a claim of robustness. Disney are also signalling speed. They now have a ladder of innovation, the BDX droids, a self-balancing Herbie, meet and greet bot, and now Olaf. Each step adds autonomy, expressiveness, and deployment confidence. The pace is now months, not years. That is a research pipeline that is alive. And it takes you a long way towards, not quite getting there, to the Turing test and the idea of a computer or a robot simulating real humanity. Now to Moscow. Adol was presented as Russia's first anthropomorphic AI robot. It was meant to show domestic capability in locomotion, manipulation, and communication. It walked onto Rocky, which raises the question of why anyone involved had ever seen a robot walk before. It stumbled, waved, and collapsed. Organisers rushed to cover it. The clip went viral, and the internet, in a rare moment of international unity, laughed. The official explanations were a mixture of the plausible and the pathetic. Calibration, power fluctuation, lighting may be all true in the way that the Titanic was a navigation issue is true. The deeper point is that a mature robotics pipeline does not put an unready biped on a live stage with no redundancy. It shows controlled trials, safety harnesses, iterative improvement, and so on. Falling is normal in humanoid development. Babies fall all the time. Toddlers fall all the time. Falling in a grand reveal is not normal. It is a confession. Adol's fall looks like a mechanical failure, but it also looks like a systems failure in how technology is staged. The event doesn't treat falling as data, it treats walking as propaganda. When walking fails, propaganda fails with it. So the contrast is very simple. The method versus the mask. Disney's method to begin with a character and a movement style, to translate animator intent into target motion, to train robust locomotion with reinforcement learning in realistic simulation, to transfer carefully to hardware, to deploy only when it can survive children, carpets, and the laws of physics. Moscow's method, as exhibited, to begin with a claim of national modernity, to build a prototype that might look impressive for 30 seconds, to put it on stage, to hope gravity has read the press release, and when it hasn't, cover the wreckage with a black sheet and call it a learning experience. Notice the irony. Disney are fronting frontier robotics to make people smile. Moscow are doing frontier cosplay to make the state look competent. Yet the Smile project produces the serious science. Because theme parks are brutal with standards, Olaf must be safe and believable for hours, not just for a clip. That forces robustness. A state demo needs only a narrative. That forces shortcuts. If you strip away the snow and the jokes, Olaf is the serious marker in humanoid research. This is reinforcement learning, delivering stylized, stable, bipedal motion in a body that's not a convenient lab shape. It is the kind of progress that quietly feeds into the next generation of general purpose walkers. So the build a snowman, do you want to build a snowman line, lands oddly close to the truth. Disney are building a snowman, yes. But they're also building the training stack and the actual modelling that will shape every other bipedal that wants to live in human space. Moscow, by contrast, staged a pratfall on television. It may still become real research, and one hopes it does, but on current evidence it is closer to national pantomime than to a scientific program. When your proudest humanoid moment is a viral facefall to the Rocky theme, you are not in a new era of robotics, you are in the era of slapstick. And you might as well be painting Olaf in bright orange and green and pretending you're filming the thing in primitive black and white footage. So, to end where we began, 2 stages, 2 philosophies. One lets 10,000 simulated snowmen fall so that one real snowman can walk. The other lets one real robot fall so that 10,000 people can retweet and laugh. And if you want to know which one has heft, follow the feet. Olaf's feet are learning, Adolf's feet are auditioning, and people are trying to work out what went wrong.